Hello everyone, I'm Nini FC and this is Blue Lines TV, and today I'm bringing up another Chelsea talking point video. And today's video is going to be about Eden Hazard and Antonio Conte. Reports are coming out that Hazard is questioning whether he wants to stay at Chelsea, talks of Real Madrid being interested, and talks of how a lot of these problems are starting because of Hazard's relationship with Antonio Conte. But anyway, you guys, just a quick plug-in. Tomorrow is going to be the subscriber live call-in, so if you do want to be part of the show, in the link in the description below will be a PayPal link. Only minimum donations of £5 minimum, because obviously the reason for that is that I don't want to have 20 people putting in £1 and then I have to reject people, because then it's a waste of your money. So if you're serious, if you want to debate and discuss with me about anything you want, in the description below, send in your PayPal link with your email address and become part of the live show tomorrow after the Champions League game. But getting straight into the first story, and that's about Eden Hazard. Now, reported by Matt Law, and coming to no surprise to any fans that can put pieces together and see the logical conclusions to events, Chelsea fear Hazard could be leaving, and a lot of blame could be down to Antonio Conte and his treatment of Eden Hazard. As I've already told you guys in my previous News Daily video, Hazard and Courtois won't agree to any new contracts until Conte's left. But now there's an issue, because we might not make it into Europe, and if we don't, Hazard could seriously consider whether he wants to stay at Chelsea and if Chelsea matches footballing ambitions. But how could Conte be forcing Hazard out? First thing you need to do is think from Eden Hazard's perspective. Now, if you're one of the very best players in the world, you relish the opportunities to play against big teams and clubs around your level to really test yourself. Now, our recent history has been about playing negative football, playing within ourselves, focusing more on defensive balance and positioning, instead of what we can do to damage and hurt teams. Now, to be honest, this recent history of playing with no balls and no conviction, really, it has made these big game matches very disappointing for myself, because most of them aren't very exciting. Our approach is negative, and you don't really get any enjoyment as a fan. So if you're a player and you're Eden Hazard, I can imagine how much you detest those types of games. Remember that infamous game against Atletico Madrid in the second leg of the Champions League? Now, Hazard had to track back more than he had to run forward. We used an incredibly negative lineup. I mean, Aspie was playing as a winger, for God's sake. And of course, we crash out in a very unspectacular fashion. Now you're Eden Hazard, you've got aspirations of winning these big trophies when you can't even play to your full potential because of negative tactics by the manager. But naturally, you're going to start being a bit dissuaded, and you're going to start, rethinking your situation at the club. And I think this is why we continuously have these moments where players do feel a bit uninspired when playing for us in certain games. I mean, for example, if you're an Alonso or Aspilicueta, you don't really care how you play, especially if you're Alonso, because, Conte's kind of giving this guy a career. But if you're Fabregas, Willy and Hazard, you want to play with the ball, you want to attack teams, naturally you're going to feel very exasperated. Matt Law is saying that one of the issues Hazard is facing is the fact that, he's playing as a false nine. And like I've said in this video, he's not being able to show what he can do because he's being stifled due to the tactics. As Hazard himself said after the game against Man City, he got the feeling that he never played football. So naturally, when you add all these factors together, it's natural that Hazard is going to start questioning the club's ambitions. Because if you do have ambitions of being a big club, do you want to play this style of football? Do you want to play within yourselves? Do you want to get outplayed by other opposition teams? Let's not forget the other stupid things. I know I sound harsh, but honestly, I do feel they are pretty stupid, that Conte's doing to Hazard as well. Subbing this guy off for every single opportunity. I mean, some of his weak excuses too, when he's been questioned upon why he was subbed off against Man City and against Man United. And basically, it all comes down to managers of this caliber focusing more on the defensive work rate and running compared to actually aiding your attacking players. Hazard is a footballer, the guy wants to play football. Once a club makes him not enjoy his football as much, he's going to start questioning whether it's the right club for him. Now again, Matt stating and other people have said as well that Real Madrid, of course we all know already, are massive admirers of Hazard. They're saying that if City did come in for a bid, even if it was 200 million, the club would outright reject that. But if it was Real Madrid, it would be much harder to convince Hazard to stay. Now, in my opinion, I think that once Hazard leaves, I think we're finished, basically. And I honestly feel that it's going to come down to the club and the boards, because the board makes these managerial decisions. They create the environment at the club at which players can have their successes in. And really, from a I'm not going to say from an ambition point of view, but from a footballing perspective, this is where we're really lacking, because there's been this focus on managers with CVs that win you titles, but then that comes at the cost of longevity. Now, it's no surprise to me that in Mourinho's second spell, yeah, it took him his second season until we won a title, but then after that, we capitulated. And now under Conte's spell, his next season, we're capitulating. That's because this emphasis on this style of tactics and football doesn't naturally suit some of the players we have. I've been saying this for so many years. You can't have players like Cesc, Willian, Hazard, etc, etc. You can't have footballers and then have these guys not playing football. Now, I'm very objective and I'm very realistic. If we never had players of that caliber, and let's say we had more of a workhorse type of team, then of course I'd accept the style we have, because that suits the players that we possess. And that's all I'm ever talking about. Have a style that naturally complements the players that we possess, and let them really enjoy their football and show what they can do. Because here's the thing, if you're Hazard, Cesc, Fabregas, Willian, whatever, it gets to the point where people are going to start questioning whether you're good enough. And naturally, when you're a top player, you have that ego about your abilities, and that self-arrogance and that self-confidence. It's natural. When you constantly have to play within yourself when you're playing against rival teams, and any team anywhere near your level, naturally you do start getting a little bit, you know, pessimistic. And honestly, this is where things start to crumble and start to fall. Now, just to end this video, do I think that Eden Hazard will definitely stay? Honestly, you guys, I really can't give any promises or certainties. I honestly feel that if we don't get into Europe, then I can't see why Hazard is going to stay at the club, especially when it means that maybe certain players won't be able to come in. The amount of money the club will miss out on is definitely going to affect our transfer outlay for next year. And obviously Hazard's been here for how many years as well. Naturally, he'll be thinking, well, maybe I've reached my limit with this club. For me to grow and to become a better player, I need to test myself abroad. And honestly, I think Real Madrid could be the most realistic option. Yes, Zidane's there. I have a feeling that he's still going to stay there at the end of the season. I think obviously when you win 2 Champions Leagues in a row, I mean, you'd have to be taken seriously. I don't see Neymar joining Real Madrid next year. I think the money involved, obviously how long it's going to take. If Neymar was going to join Real Madrid, Real would have had to start negotiations already at the start of the season, and that's going to take a whole year just to sort out financially. You know, the law is getting involved as well, how to pay for everything, etc, etc. Eden Hazard seems much more of a realistic proposition, especially because, one, he hasn't signed his new contract just yet, and he probably is willing to join them as well. And think about it like this, can you imagine Hazard playing at Real Madrid where he has Marcelo behind him, and an attacking player that's going to overlap him, creating those half spaces open for him where he can then link up with Isco in the middle? Come on now, you've got Ronaldo up front, you're playing, you've got Kroos and Modric in midfield. You know, you can play football, you can play a dominant style, and that's how you can really show off his credentials and his abilities. Because, as I've said this point numerous times, once you're a player and once you get past the age of 26, you're 26, 27, you start to become a bit more naturally selfish, because you have this realization that, you know what, my career is going to be over soon. Think about it like this, it was no surprise that Hazard was talking about wanting to win the Champions League and wanting to win league titles and wanting to win the Ballon d'Or during the start of this season, because again, he's getting older now and he wants to start being remembered in the game. Now, playing for Chelsea, is he really going to be able to be remembered? I mean, how many times when the team have performed badly does Hazard's abilities get questioned? You know, when we do well, oh, Hazard's top 3. When we don't do well, he's not in the equation anymore. Now, if Hazard's playing at a club that naturally suits his skill set, he's only going to be able to show how dominant he is. And I think this is where Chelsea missed the ballpark, because I'm sorry, you can't have our defence, CONTE, Hazard. You've got all the foundations to become a dominant style team as well, but then keep signing these managers that don't prefer that type of football. And I really feel that, you know, Chelsea are synonymous with weakness, and I think we're synonymous with not being brave. And I think that naturally a lot of people are starting to become a bit dissuaded with this whole mentality of the club. Now, you guys, that's to end this video. I hope Hazard doesn't leave, but it's going to depend on what manager is going to come in next year, and it's going to depend on if we make it into the Champions League as well. If we can do something spectacular, if we can win an FA Cup, if we can win the Champions League, that's always going to play a factor in terms of keeping Hazard at the club, but that's a big ask. You guys, it is a bit of scary times, but if I was the club, the first thing I do is reassure Hazard that you are in our plans. Here's the manager that's going to come. We're going to be changing the style. We're going to be playing a different way. Once Hazard hears those footballing ambitions, maybe he might change his mind. But anyway, you guys, that's going to end my video on the whole Eden Hazard situation with Antonio Conte and the club. I hope you guys enjoyed. In the comment section below, let me know some of your thoughts and opinions. Do you want Hazard to go? Do you think he should stay? Are you unhappy with maybe him not obviously sticking his loyalties with the club? You guys let me know in the comment section below. Anyway, I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lines TV. Signing out.